fed up with dieting and ready for a lasting lifestyle change? TOPS, Take Off Pounds Sensibly, is a nonprofit group that can help. They meet at the Senior Center every Friday at noon. There's no special food to buy. Learn how real food fits real life, a lifestyle you can live with longer and healthier. Visit tops.org to learn more or call the Senior Center, 520-4945.
A broadcasting outreach of Franklin.TV. This is WFPRLP 102.9, Franklin Public Radio. And worldwide, anywhere, anytime at WFPR.FM. It's so nice to have you with us today.
Hey, welcome back for part 2 of Talking the Blues. I am Jim Derrick, and he is
Nick Remasong.
And we're still here.
We are.
We haven't melted. We got beautiful air conditioning in our studios here at WFPR 102.9 FM in downtown Franklin, Massachusetts, where the current temperature is what?
93.
93 degrees. Yikes.
We'll call it 93. It's going to get there at some point.
Yeah,
today.
well, hey, it's kind of like the Mississippi Delta, and that is really where we're headed via Newport.
Yes, Newport. I'm going to speak briefly. Newport, particularly starting in 1964, there was a whole host of blues artists who were brought up, supposedly discovered. I think basically there was an interest that was swelling up through the college communities.
Chris, you all set?
Yep.
School committee. Can you hear me? Yeah.
It says school committee.
It says school committee.
Amy, we have school committee on the, of August.
Here,
Where?
well, you can change it.
Oh, that's, is that Chris?
Chris? Correct. Okay, welcome everybody to the Franklin Planning Board, September 12th, 2022 meeting. We'll open this meeting up. The audio and video recorded as well. It's also on Zoom, and the call-in number is 312-626-6799. And the meeting number itself is 843-480-52733. We're going to start with general business, and we had one line item for a meeting date, so Amy, if you want to give us an update for the next meeting?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our next meeting was scheduled for September 26th, and at this time, the meeting after that was actually October 17th due to some holidays. And there's our agendas, it doesn't have anything scheduled for the 26th, but we would like to still hold another meeting, and I'm asking the board if we can cancel the 26th and move the meeting to October 3rd.
Okay, all in favor for moving the 26th meeting to the October 3rd?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Amy. Next item of business would be the decision for 585 King Street. Amy, if you want to just give us a quick brief, if you could, please.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The planning board closed this public hearing on August 8th, 2022. They're proposing to construct a warehouse storage facility, which requires a special permit in the business zoning district. I provided some conditions for endorsement, and then also special conditions if the board so chooses to approve the project. This will require a roll call vote.
Okay. I just want to say one thing really quick. I just want to personally thank the applicant, the engineers, and everybody for all the changes they made that this board requested. Pretty substantial changes that we asked for, and you guys took care of it, so we do appreciate it, at least I do. I'm sure the rest of the board does too. So I guess we'll make a motion to recommend the special conditions of prior to endorsement first.
Sure. Would you like me to read through them, Mr. Chairman?
If Beth could read it, please.
So recommended conditions prior to endorsement. Number 1, the elevations of the top and bottom of the proposed retaining wall between the parking area and the truck access on the southeast side of the building should be noted similar to the other proposed walls on the site. The retaining wall along I-495 layout may require a protective fence along a portion of its length due to the 11-foot height. The plans called for HDPE piping for drainage. However, the planning board requires reinforced concrete pipe for drainage. Number 4, any drainage pipe within the town right-of-way should also be reinforced concrete pipe. Number 5, the row of abrevieties being proposed should be placed outside the limits of the proposed subsurface sewage disposal system to ensure that they will be maintained when the system is replaced.
Thank you.
All in favor of those special conditions prior to endorsement?
Aye.
Aye.
So, special conditions of approval. Recommending the following. Any off-site improvement plans shall be reviewed, approved, and permitted by DPW as well as MassDOT prior to issuance of a building permit. The applicant is required to apply with the Design Review Commission for any signage for the site. A sign is to be added to the plans stating no right turn on red leaving the site. And this decision is subject to MIPA approval. And then additional special condition was recently discussed was adding the hours of operation, proposing 5 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay, if we want to go through the,
All in favor of the special conditions of approval?
yep, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
We'll go right to the
Yep.
condition.
Next is the determination for the special permit specific findings. The special permit is to allow a storage facility in the business zoning district under 185, attachment 4, 3.10A. 1, proposed project addresses or is consistent with neighborhood or town need. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Vehicular traffic flow, access and parking and pedestrian safety are properly addressed. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Public roadways, drainage, utilities, and other infrastructure are adequate or will be upgraded to accommodate development. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Neighborhood character and social structure will not be negatively impacted. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Project will not destroy or cause substantial damage to any environmentally significant natural resource, habitat, or feature, or if it will, proposed mitigation, remediation, replication, or compensatory measures are adequate. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Number, height, bulk, location, and siting of buildings and structures will not result in abutting properties being deprived of light or fresh air circulation or being exposed to flooding or subjected to excessive noise, odor, light, vibrations, or airborne particulates. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Water consumption and sewer use, taking into consideration current and projected future local water supply and demand and wastewater treatment capacity will not be excessive. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. And, the proposed use will not have adverse effects which overbalance its beneficial effects on either the neighborhood or town in view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the proposal in relation to that site. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes.
Majority rules. Okay. You're all set. Thank you. Next item would be the covenant for Eastern Woods. Amy, if you could give us a quick run-through, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The planning board endorsed a subdivision plan on November 1st, 2021 for 4 house lots known as Eastern Woods. This is off of Summer Heights and Fall Lane. The applicant was required to provide a covenant which is attached to this packet. I've had the town attorney, Mark Sorrell, review the covenant, and he finds that it is acceptable. Therefore, the board will need to vote to accept it and sign.
Okay. Hear a motion to accept the covenant for Eastern Woods.
Make a motion to accept the covenant for Eastern Woods.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item would be a tri-party agreement for Uncas Ave. Amy, if you, Department of Planning, if you could give us a run-through, please?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This project actually dates back many years ago. The builder has come forward. They, at the time, had put in all the infrastructure that was required to start the project, but no units were actually built. Over time, some of that infrastructure has eroded, has fallen apart. So that's the purpose of this tri-part agreement. We've had Beta go out on the site to provide an estimated cost to repair the existing conditions of that site. So this is what's in front of the board to accept the tri-part agreement.
Okay. Just go to, Mike, are you all set from DPW with this as well?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Beta had gone through and put together the cost estimate, everything appears to be appropriate.
So you're comfortable? Okay. And I see Gary came up, they came up to Hook River, so I make a motion to accept the tri-party agreement for Uncas Ave. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item would be a field change for Bogan Estates. Amy, if you could give us a quick review, please.
Sure. The office received a letter from the owners of Bogan Way requesting that the trees that were approved on the subdivision and are required under our subdivision control laws be removed and not be installed. Technically, it is a waiver for a subdivision plan. I know that they have provided a letter with all parties of interest that currently own their houses on Bogan's Way to waive the street trees, which is a requirement of the subdivision control law.
Okay. Okay. Any comments from the board? I went through there. It's pretty sparse. I would like to see the trees planted myself. Plus, it meets our rules and regs for us to follow. So I'm not sure about everybody else, but my own personal feeling. It's probably, what, 10 trees that have to go in?
I think it's more than that.
It's like 32.
Yeah.
32.
Yeah, it's up, it's all the way from Washington Street up,
Okay.
up to the cul-de-sac.
It's pretty sparse. We don't want, I don't want to waive it from our rules and regs if we don't have to. How's the rest of the board feel?
I just got a quick question for the chair. Now, these trees are going to be planted on each side of the road in, correct? But on the homeowner's property, that's what it is?
Yes. Right.
So the trees are proposed to be on private property, not within the right-of-way of the roadway.
Right, okay. What size are these trees? Any idea?
What are they, 2-inch calipers, inch and a half?
Let me start off that way. Right.
I forget what off the top of my head, I'm not sure what it says in the subdivision rules and regs, but usually they're like the 2 or 3 inch caliper trees.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, this
Sure.
question for town engineer, but this road will become a town road eventually?
Is expected to,
Okay.
yes.
That's one of the reasons why I
Yeah.
want to do it, because it'll be a town road in the future.
Through the chair.
Sure.
Just a quick question, maybe Mike, you can answer this. What is the purpose of lining 32 trees on that roadway?
I believe it's in the subdivision rules and regs. I believe it's just for, streetscape, but they are to be planted on private property as opposed to right-of-way. When the town does, at the end of the process, after the planning board closes out the project, town council will eventually vote on it to accept the roadway, and we'll go through that process. as far as the trees, they are intended to be on the private property as opposed to the town right away, because at the end of the day, the town doesn't want to have to maintain those trees, or it's just one more liability for the town to have to take care of, so that's why they're required to be placed on private property.
But what if the homeowner doesn't want to take that responsibility either? How can the town force someone to put a tree on their property?
It's part of the subdivision rules and regs, so
They could have been planted before they were,
before they moved in.
before they moved in, before the lots
Right.
were built.
So, another question, so as to his point, they get planted because we have to do rules and regulations. Does the homeowner have a right 6 months, a year down the road to remove them?
Once the project's closed up, the planning board, I don't want to speak to the legal aspect, but my understanding is that it would be, it's on private property, they're free to do with the trees what they wish.
May I ask a question to the chair? If the applicant, if the homeowner themselves are going to, in a few months from now, just take down a tree that they don't necessarily want on their property, would we, as the town, be better served asking the subdivision developer to pay funds into a street tree fund to provide us with trees that we could put somewhere else,
Good
knowing
point.
that we do not want to remove and make a habit of waiving trees, street trees? I think that it would be better served that we, the town, would actually get use of these trees somewhere else. I do agree that we have a subdivision, we have regulations. It was intended to be built this way. However, you have 6 owners, something like that.
We make waivers all the time.
Sorry, 4 owners that signed a piece of paper that want to not have trees on their property, so I would love to see if that's the case, if we're gonna go down this road of approving trees that they're just gonna cut down. Can we get an estimate of the cost of these trees from
It should be
Dana
in
or
the
somebody? Or is it, if it's in the bond, just have that money go towards the street tree fund? Is that something we can do, or how does that work? I mean, I agree, I feel the way you do. I don't wanna make a habit of waving trees and having, if that's the case, then it should be asked for during the process of
On the
approval.
front, up front or
Yep.
something,
But can we at least have the benefit here of making it in the best interest of the town and getting trees somewhere else?
I agree
Do we
with that.
have a fund that funds can go into?
I think that's a reasonable approach, and I'm pretty sure that's been done in the past where developers have provided trees to be planted elsewhere in town, either provided trees or the funds to purchase trees. And I know DPW does plant trees throughout town within the on public properties, so.
And with that being said, is there any way in the future, to what Beth is saying, that can we get these planted
prior to
way
C of O.
prior, before so we don't come to this point again, that we have to make this
Yeah.
decision and go against our rules and regulations?
I had spoken with Amy, I'd like to see trees in prior to C of O, then there's no
Sure.
question.
Exactly.
This happened once before in another subdivision
Right.
too.
If the builder had applied for a waiver at the time of the building the subdivision, would we have approved it or not? There's a good chance we probably could have.
Potentially, or
So, I mean,
go
it's
back
kind
a
of
little, okay.
car wagging the,
So, what do you think?
that's why we-
Defer to the rest of you guys, my opinion is, just if
Uh,
we're at that point where
I
it's,
agree,
they're just
I
gonna
agree
cut them
with
down in the
Beth.
future.
I agree with Beth. I mean, we can't keep doing this, but why plant something when
nobody wants
3-6 months
Yeah.
down the road? I mean, they're all saying they don't want it, so why do it?
Yeah. I guess my only other reservation is not everybody's gonna live there forever.
No,
So the next
I
homeowner
agree- I
comes
agree
in
with
and
that too.
he
Plant your own
could
trees.
want trees too, but that's
Exactly.
all.
plant your own trees.
That's what's in the regs for, you know?
I don't know.
Yeah,
So what do you wanna do? Do you wanna continue it until we can find out about the, swapping to trees going elsewhere?
Yeah, I think if the board is amendable to the owner providing basically a proposal either in the form of trees or a monetary amount at the next meeting, for the board would move forward and allow them not to plant the
That
trees.
it's specifically dedicated just for trees elsewhere in town?
Right.
on town
Maybe they
property.
can meet, a DPW, brief meeting, what DPW's preference is, because they'll be the
Sure.
ones where it will go to.
Yep.
And then we can put them on the next agenda to
I'd like to do
make-
it that way, yep.
make a determination.
You
Take it out.
wanna go to the public?
Yeah, the
Oh,
applicant
yeah,
is in the
yeah.
audience.
Yeah, I know, I was just wanted to,
Yeah,
Move through us
that would be
first,
my
yes.
recommendation if the board's amendable to
Okay.
that.
if the applicant wants just want to address the mic, just approach your mic, name and address, please.
Yeah, Mike Bogan, 10 Bogans Way. So basically, I'm not opposed to what you're suggesting. But I just wanted to make a point that when we first put in for the subdivision to be approved, the road and the curbing that we were told that we had to install was not by the bylaws, because there's only 4 houses on that street to begin with. That, I believe, was 5 or more to be able to put that curbing in with the granite curbing. So I just wanted to make that, so that was kind of where we were.
That's our rule and reg, two lots and greater is curbing.
Correct.
Correct.
But we were directed and wouldn't get the subdivision approved unless we put the road in. So that was not in accordance with the bylaws.
Okay.
But,
But you're good about the transfer of the tree and the?
yeah, I'd prefer not to have to
Okay.
pay for that if I, could. But if that's the only option, then I'm willing to look at that, so.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
So, I'd say we just continue this till it'll be the October 3rd meeting and get together with DPW and figure out where we can do it, and we'll just vote on the next one. So make a motion to continue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next line item would be an 81P, an A&R for Spring Street. Amy, if you could give us a run-through really
Sure,
quick, please?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. We actually originally had received this A&R plan back in November, and the planning board voted to approve this plan, a 5-0 vote to approve the plan. The plan was endorsed by our chairman. However, the plan was never filed at the Registry of Deeds, and so the owners have come back to submit the same plan with same dividing up the 2 lots for signature by the board, so they can get it filed at the Registry of Deeds. They did pay the $350 fee back in November, so I leave it up to the board if the fee is waived this time around, since they've already paid it at the last time it was submitted.
Okay.
Make a motion to waive the fee of $350.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the 81P plan for Spring Street.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next line item of general business would be for meeting minutes. Everybody read the August 8th, 2020 meeting minutes. Any additions or deletions? If not, make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then, excuse me, the next one would be for the August 16th, 2022 meeting minutes. Any additions or deletions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve.
Yeah, make a motion to approve. Yeah, sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, well, it's past 7:05, but 7:05 would be a continued public hearing for 700 Union Street. Amy, are they looking for a particular date?
The October 17th meeting.
October 17th, so I'd make a motion to continue to October 17th. All in favor?
Aye.
And then next line would be public hearing for 704 Washington Street, and that's also going to be a continuation. They looking for the 17th as well?
Yes.
So make a motion to continue 704 Washington Street, October 17th. All in favor?
Aye.
And then our last item would be the 715, which is 175 East Central Street, Franklin Ford. So if you just want to give us an introduction to yourselves, please, for the record.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Ted Cannon on behalf of Franklin Ford. Along with me tonight, Rick Goodrow from United Consultants, and Bob Green, the general manager of Franklin Ford. So nice to be here tonight. Since we were before this board last, we listened to concerns of this board, the concerns of town engineer Beta. I also recall the direct abutter going up Chestnut Street to the east. Mr. Keefe had raised several questions. You do know that this board received a letter from council from Mr. Chairman dated July 22nd, and I'm happy to report that we listened to all of that and revised the plan, and we have been in touch with Mr. Keefe's attorney to lay out the items on the plan that were addressed specifically to address his concern. I'll just sort of touch on those briefly. Rick can go into further detail, but assured him that the drain pipe that's proposed won't affect the drain pipe at all. It's on his property. We'll go back into the wetlands. If you've been over there, there's actually sort of like a 3-foot berm between the properties, and then it's a very heavily vegetated area. Franklin Ford has agreed to, on top of that berm, install a 6-foot stockade fence along the length of the property. As well, probably seen the lighting plan, that's been changed so there is zero light spillover anyway onto the neighboring property. So they're very happy about that. He asked that no large bay doors be facing that side, and that's the case. The garage doors either face Chestnut Street or the rear of the property. And so we addressed each of those concerns and did get correspondence back from his attorney saying that he was satisfied with those changes shown on the plan. We have an order of conditions from conservation, so we've made it through conservation. So if I may turn it over to Rick to sort of highlight for the board the other changes, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Rick Goodrow with United Consultants. We have had an opportunity to make some changes to the plans based on input from the board, as well as the town engineer, Mike Maglio, town planner Amy Love, as well as Beta, Mr. Gary James. And we've provided revised plans to Beta for review, as well as the town engineer and the planning. And we just wanted to take the opportunity to kind of refresh the board's memory, because it has been some time as we worked through all these issues with the abutters and everybody, to kind of just go over some of the things and highlight some of the things that have come about. So one of the items that Beta had requested was a plan of the redevelopment area at a scale of 1 inch equals 20 with some additional spot grades. So we've prepared that plan. It shows greater detail of the area proposed for the expansion of the building, as well as the parking lot. As you can see here, we provided the spot grades that were requested for review of the drainage flow in that area. We've also, one of the items that we've been going back and forth with was a location of snow storage. We had originally proposed the excess parking spaces to be utilized for snow storage. There was some concern with that due to the operation of the facility. So we had then moved to this area here, but based on some other changes that were suggested, such as relocation of catch basin 5 and some regrading of that area, which we've done. We now have a situation where this area is draining directly towards the wetlands, and there was concerns about the snow storage being on pavement or draining towards the drainage system itself. So what we've done and wanted to just review with the board is we've identified these areas here in red, these additional parking spaces, as the areas in which we would be utilizing snow storage. We've gone over that with Franklin Ford. They're comfortable with that. That's where they currently utilize, the area they currently utilize for snow storage is in that vicinity as well. So some other changes that were requested were to remove these parking spaces here from the overall parking count, and to distinguish between vehicle storage parking, which would be the spaces here along, or display, I should say, spaces here along the street, these two areas, and this area here. So the parking calculations have been revised to reflect that, and basically, with the removal of these spaces for snow storage, not counting the spaces for the vehicle display, we have 100 parking spaces, and our requirement is to have 51. So we're well above, even with the snow storage. So we just wanted to point that out to the board, get some input from the board if they were comfortable with that approach. as I had mentioned, we had revised that. Some changes that requested by Beta were to relocate this head wall slightly away from the wetland area to provide for a 50-foot vegetated buffer and no structure, if you will, the drainage structure within the 50-foot buffer. So we have done that. We've regraded the area. We provided some regrading, relocation of the catch basin, some regrading of the parking lot here to accomplish that. So we've done those things that have been requested with respect to some additional changes. One of the big items that's been brought up is the site lighting. Bear with me here. So we had the lighting consultant prepare a revised plan. Basically, this is the plan that you had seen in the first revised submission. This plan has not changed. We are proposing a fence along this property line as well as to the rear here. And we've added the fence along here. As Attorney Cannon had mentioned, it's going to be positioned on top of a 3-foot fence. A 3-foot berm, a 6-foot fence on top of approximately 3-foot berm. So what that's done is provided for 0 light spillage on the 2 abutting properties that were of concern. However, there is some light spillage out onto the Chestnut Street right away, in the vicinity of 3.5-foot candles at the curb line, the highest being about 9 on the sidewalk just below where one of the lights are located. We had talked with Beta about that. They requested that we talk to the DPW. We did have a discussion with Mike regarding that. And, you know, as is typically the case, the town has street lights that are lighting up areas. So in essence, the majority of this lighting is for or in the vicinity of the sidewalk with a small amount spilling out into the right-of-way of approximately 3.5 to 4-foot candles. So we wanted to get some dialogue from the board to make sure that they were comfortable with that. So the snow storage and that. We also were requested to modify the stormwater calculations from a 6.8-inch 100-year storm event to a 7-inch storm event, which we've done. That was part of the first revision. There was also some comments with respect to utilizing the NOAA rainfall models that I am told will become a regulation in the near future, have not to this point. We have, at the request of Beta, modeled that. We just wanted to make sure that we were on board with the modeling. Basically, we've analyzed the pre-development conditions with the additional rainfall, the post-development conditions, and what impact it would have on the pond, and ultimately what it would do to the rate and the volume of the runoff, as per your regulations. The pond had additional storage capacity, and the rate and volume of runoff was still reduced in the post-development conditions when compared to the pre-development conditions. So we can summarize that in the revised drainage calculations and report, but we don't want to go through a whole analysis of the entire drainage system for that storm event, just merely the pond itself. So we have made a slight modification to the pond to address the infiltration requirements and the calculations that were being proposed for that. And we feel that once we've done that, we're going to be able to accomplish the removal rates required under the town's regulations, and have been requested by Beta with the additional storage. Beta commented that they anticipated we would meet those requirements with the smaller pond, but we had to make the pond slightly bigger to address some other concerns. So I think we're in good shape there. There were some comments made with respect to planning board's input for conditions of approval for certain things. I would assume that the board has reviewed that and would be willing to discuss that if they had any concerns. Additionally, they've asked for us to work with the building department for the 4 drains internally. They've got some comments on that. Applicant's more than amenable to doing that at the appropriate time when the building permit is applied for. They've also requested that we provide a stormwater pollution prevention plan. As the board's probably aware, this project will disturb more than 1 acre. We'll need a town permit. Upon approvals, we prepare the stormwater pollution prevention plan for filing with the EPA, and also we would be required to go for a stormwater permit with the DPW. At that time, we would provide them with a copy of the stormwater pollution prevention plan. We're in agreement with that. The Design Review Commission had approved the project. And one thing that they asked us to do, and one thing that followed through, was some additional plantings along Chestnut Street here, which we've provided. Basically, in front of this property, we're gonna have the asphalt parking area 10 feet back, and we've provided some low vegetation here to provide for some sight lines to the display vehicles, and we've updated the planting schedule to accommodate that. That was done as part of revision 2 at the request of originally at the request of the Design Review Commission. So I think that highlights most of the changes. We just, as I said, wanted to bring the board up to speed as to where we were. Attorney Cannon did a good job explaining what we've been through with the abutting property owner and trying to appease them. And we just wanted to kind of highlight things and get some input from the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess I'll go to Amy from Department of Planning. Amy, you want to give us a brief?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. They've kind of mentioned a lot of the comments that I had. Just want to note that they have requested 3 waivers, which I have listed here. Rick mentioned about the light spillage onto Chestnut Street, so I defer to the board if they want to have that. My only question, I don't know why like both the driveways have emergency vehicle access, where they're both regular access driveways?
That was done to satisfy the fire department as to how we could route a vehicle through there, in and out.
Okay,
So the idea would be obviously that they would come in off of 140, but we
Right.
provided the route through the site for them and then to the back of the building.
okay.
So would you have signage just for those guys to see if that being said? Fire department entrance, I guess, they're gonna enter.
Or
anyway.
main access, main entrance.
I
and-
certainly don't want to tell the chief where to go in. I think they'll figure that out. I hope they can figure that out.
Recommend, sir, I
Oh,
just
my
didn't know if
gosh.
you look for signage, but to
No.
direct them in.
That was
That's-
merely for the fire department to be able to see the circulation through the site for the fire trucks. That's all it was shown for.
I saw the same thing, that's why I was gonna say. Okay. Sorry, Amy, go ahead.
Nope, that was it, thank you.
Okay, I guess we'll go to Mike at DPW. Mike, any questions or comments? I saw you had a couple, but,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On our initial review, we had several comments, but they've been addressed. Rick's addressed them in this latest revision plan, so we had no further comments on this. They've addressed any comments we've had in the past, previous ones.
the one question I had, and for you, the 16-inch water line, AC line, has that ever been depth checked? Like, do we know the depth of that, just in case these guys don't slip it when they're in there?
Well, that was one of the things where I did comment before. We wanted to see, at least have the contractor do a test pit to locate that before they plan on installing the pipe,
Okay.
locate that and dig around it.
Yep.
And that's been it's been added to the plans in that
I
case,
just
so
want to make sure of that.
if the water lines, if there'll be a conflict with the water line with the proposed drainage, you'll have to redesign the drainage around it,
Yep.
so that's something you're aware of. But the point was to do a test pit to verify its location.
I just didn't know if it was done yet, that's why.
That'll be done right.
Yeah, what Mike had asked is that we put a note on there that be done before the installation of the drainage, which we thought was.
You don't want to hit it, that's why I'm making a point.
Oh, no, when we dug the test pits for the drainage design, they were out there watching us, and we weren't within 100 feet of that
Yeah,
pipe.
yeah, lucky you.
Yes.
Okay. I guess I'll go to Gary from Beta. Gary, you're on.
Yes, yes, I am, Mr. Chairman.
Hi, Gary. Want to give us a...
Like Mike, I got to agree, Rick has pretty much addressed all of our concerns and our comments. Obviously, the big one was the issue associated with the light spillage out onto Chestnut Street, but it appears as if Rick has actually done what we asked him to do, coordinate with the DPW, and as long as the DPW, then now I'll leave it to the discretion of the board, but pretty much all of the stormwater issues have been addressed. They've done the maximum they can within the limits of the Water Resource Protection District. We kind of went, I'll admit, we kind of went a little overboard on this, but even requesting that he do the analysis associated with the NOAA 14, but I know it's coming, and I think we felt pretty strongly, we just wanted to do it as a test, just to make sure that we weren't gonna flood out the entire site. But other than that, I have no further comments.
Okay, good, thank you. I guess I'll go to the members of the board, if anybody has any questions or comments. Rick?
I'm all set.
Willie?
I have just one, and it was in regards to Rick about the snow storage. So the snow storage is going to stay pretty much one spot where you pointed out, correct?
Correct. Sorry, thought it was on that sheet. These areas in red would be where the snow storage, we've specifically designated the space numbers on the plan.
Right, so, I mean, I know all dealerships, when a big storm's coming, all the vehicles get out of the way, the whole idea is get the snow, so they're just gonna push it all to the back.
Yes.
You had the note for the snow storage, Rick, on it?
Yeah.
Right.
Here's,
We've added it
Oh, okay.
to the plans that are revised for the
Okay.
final set,
All right.
in response to
Because it
Dana's.
wasn't on this one, that's why.
It was not on the revision one plans you have.
Yeah, okay.
I was just checking if you were
Yeah, I-
awake.
Yeah, but it got moved over here,
yeah,
so it's only moved for months, okay?
right.
So, quick question in terms of reference of parking. They have 141 initially, or 152, I think?
There's 192 total spaces.
92, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, Mr. Chairman, before you answer that question, Rick, can I just ask you, the plan set that we have does not reflect your changes yet, or does it?
Does not.
Okay, that's what I just want to
Yeah.
make sure.
Nope.
All right.
I did this as merely a color up, so you could see where we had the spaces.
Yeah.
We moved it to the back, we moved it back. Just wanted you guys
Just
to
wanted to make sure I
identify it.
wasn't missing something.
No,
Okay, thank you.
no, and it's spelled out here. So, snow storage to be on spaces 164 to 192. And then there's an, evaluation of all the spaces. We've removed the spaces that Beta asked for lack of access with the double stacking that's occurred. So we've just reworded that, and you'll see that on the next revision.
All right. So that's good. That would be located, it's just, because I don't have that updated drawing, I'm just trying to make heads or tails where it's coming from, that's all.
Yep.
I had a second question about the plantings, and I think Jen had brought it up at one of the meetings about maybe some plantings on the Chestnut Street side. There's a possibility to get a little bit more plantings between like 73 and 82 without breaking the vision of getting out. I think it's only showing the left side of the lot. If you're gonna do some, you may as well do a little bit more and make it look nice all the way across the front on Chestnut Street side.
On the
You had
Che-
some plantings there, but it was only showing like one side of that parking lot. I just wanna make sure you can see
Correct.
that.
Well, the parking lot's gonna remain as is, which is paved right to the back of the sidewalk.
All right, I didn't know if you were gonna put a plant bed in there. That's
No.
fine. Okay. And, light spillage, what were we at the street, 4.2 or so, you said? Because our drawings, lighting plan shows like 9 point something on the road, we just wanna make sure.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, to follow up on that, the plan that we have also shows, and I don't know if I'm reading this wrong, because it shows lesser along streetways, which is great, and it sounds like you're reducing it even more, but it also shows within the site, you have areas where the light is upwards of, what candles, 32 and 29.
Yes,
I mean, that seems pretty excessive. Is
yes.
that going to be reduced as well?
They were not planning on it, no.
Well, I mean, I don't know how the board feels about that, but that's kind of glowing.
What height are those lights, are they, what, I saw 11 to 15 feet maybe or something like that?
15 feet, yep.
You just don't want the place to light up like a Christmas tree with the neighbors around too. Yeah, I mean, you know you
Correct.
want it for security purposes and whatnot too, but
Right.
is there a way to throttle it down a little bit in the middle of the night?
I think there is a way
Oh,
to do it.
You can throttle them.
These lights will be turned off and controlled by Franklin Ford. You're not gonna
So
remain on
what
all
will your
night.
operational
all
lights
night.
be, as an example in this, so, I mean, we wanna make sure you have a safe side too.
Sure, 1 hour after closing, those main lights will be turned down. We'll only have a couple of lights on the building. for
Like wall
safety
packs?
By the doors,
Yep.
doorways, and, so people can see if they're
Okay.
in and out and about, but, those lights will be shut off nightly.
Okay, I think,
So I guess then, just to follow up on that, then what are the hours that these lights will be at the current levels shown?
They'll be shut off by 9 o'clock.
9 PM, you're
We
gonna
close
have-
at 8.
So illumination will be
like zero, because the lights will be on
Yeah,
in the middle of the park.
again, the only lights that'll be
You'll have
working
wall
would-
packs on the building.
Correct.
Correct,
Yep.
so they'll be
By
contained within the
doorways
sites.
and entranceways.
Okay.
So I think that seems really bright for 9 o'clock as well. It just seems kind of excessive.
Well, the only thing is, if people are dropping cars on too, you get it for security purposes, I'm sure they wanna
If
just
it's-
make sure it's kind of.
The way it was explained to me was, certain requirements for somewhere where the public is gonna be actively walking to view the cars that are being displayed when it's dark out. So they have certain requirements for that. And then to control that and illuminate that, you have some intensity under the fixtures themselves.
And the lights aren't extremely tall, that's the best part, they're not like 24 footers, so they're not shedding everywhere. Gary, if you're there, could you chime in?
Yes, I am.
on this? Yeah, what are your thoughts about that, just, lights out at 9 PM, I mean, what are your thoughts in the past?
I've got to agree, and I know I've done designs also for automobile dealerships, and I know that the lighting requirements on the vehicle display areas are really intense. So, that's why I pretty much said, go to the DPW and discuss it with them, because it's gonna light up Chestnut Street. It's gonna be bright. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, it's gonna be bright. You're gonna get quite a bit of spillage off of the automobiles, but, I don't know, like I said, I'll leave it to the discretion of the board, but at 9 o'clock, if they shut it off, and once again, now all of the light intensity is gone, so it'll resort back to what it would normally be, just based on the streetlights.
Okay. Without me pulling up the drawing, where's the nearest light pole, say, to the neighbors, as an example? Like, where is it in an island, or, without me?
So there's some poles here along this common property line. But they've been shielded with the fence and the vegetation to prevent spillage. So these areas there, the light levels are, 0.1 just behind the curb line. It's really, there's a double pole, there's a pole here, and a double here, and a double here, and a double here, and a single here. So this is the area where the highest illumination is, which is right under this display area here. And then again, these levels are, 0.1 as they approach the property line.
So my point, Mr. Chairman, is just that area that you're referring to, Rick, is extremely bright, whereas it seems across the rest of the site, you're able to bring the levels down to a pretty decent level. So why is it that one particular strip that you need to have
Because of the
in
display.
30s? Right, but you can still see in a reasonable level and not have it up in the 30s. I mean, just my opinion, defer to the rest of the board. I just think it seems excessive, even if it is 9 o'clock and it shuts off. I think before 9 o'clock on a day when it's dark, you don't need it that bright, but that's just my
You're
opinion.
gonna put these on a management system that could be,
Yes, it'll
adjusted?
be on a timer.
No, like lighting, you can put lighting controls in to throttle them down and set them up that way too, like just.
I'm not sure on the new lights.
how
I
about-
would
how's-
think so, yes.
Yeah, how about you guys, how do you feel?
If they can control them, sure, I mean, but, like they're saying, they need to display, it's a
Yeah.
display, so you need to light it. What is that magic number? I mean, if you toned it down to 25, is that not bright enough? Or is it?
I really have to talk to the lighting consultants
Right.
of what their requirements are, and my guess would be that they would have to add additional poles to create a higher level in between where the poles are now. So you're seeing the intensity right under the double lights, and then it diminishes as you move towards the center of the lights, if you will, and then picks up again.
Right.
So my guess is they would have to put in more lights along the street.
My
I'm just
thought on-
guessing.
My thought on that would be is if it's possible, if this moves forward and it gets approved, that after the lighting is installed, if it ends up being excessive, that shielding or something is placed in to tone it down a bit. I just think that some judgment needs to be used.
I was
that
gonna say the same
if we're
thing,
not
actually.
illuminating the entire street in that area of town.
Would you be approvable to,
Yeah.
say once it's all built and all of a sudden the place is lit up and everybody's complaining? We'd like to see it throttled back down some.
We'd
If
be
you're
amenable
amenable
to-
to that, I think
Yeah.
we are as well.
We think it's gonna be much improvement from what we currently have, which is National Grid lighting,
Yeah.
which is much higher up. And
Yeah.
once those lights are installed, those are being removed. I've already contacted National Grid.
Yeah, because you have, what, 2 or 3 of those spotlights?
Yeah, and
Sodiums.
they're very high in the poles, and we don't have control of them, so
Yep.
they don't always get shut off.
Yep.
When,
Okay.
when will the new lighting be in place?
As soon as we get the okay to go forward.
I mean, it's actually, so like going back to what Beth was saying, that if that gets,
Relook at it after it's built, and you can make an assessment if
Well,
need be.
We're gonna be here for a Form H, so you'll have another shot at
right.
us.
That's what I was
And by
gonna
that
say,
point,
so
the
they're gonna
lighting
come
will be
back
up.
to us.
I'm just, I mean, it's realistic, you know, and,
No, but we want to make sure you can.
absolutely, and,
If you
and,
have to plan for it, now's the time to plan for it, so you're gonna find a lighting package that's not adaptable, is what I'm.
correct.
Yeah.
And we can talk to the lighting people and see if there's
Yeah.
some shielding that could be added to the Chestnut Street side.
Yep, yep.
You know, we'll certainly start that discussion if that's a concern of the board's.
And of course, the DPW wants lighting out on Chestnut Street. That helps.
Well, for safety purposes,
Yeah.
you want it at the
I'm
sidewalk.
not opposed to that,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
opposed to it being
Oh, yeah.
illuminating the entire town and
Right.
state.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
So we'll bring a picnic table, we'll be all set. Okay.
Oh, gee.
You didn't like that, Gary? No?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay,
I was thinking the exact same thing, Beth. I'm sorry.
all right. So, it sounds like you've addressed all the issues. I guess I make a motion to close. Whoops,
Mr. Chairman,
sorry.
I just would like to remind you, we have some people in the audience.
Oh,
that may
I'm
want to
sorry, I
speak.
didn't say. Mr. Catalano, you have anything to say?
No, that was just.
Anybody on Zoom? All 3 people. Okay. So,
Do we want to review any plans that they're gonna make changes to?
well, we just want to make sure, we'll, if we close, we'll make sure we have all the updated drawings and plans and everything tweaked to make sure we have the most
They
updated.
have not been filed yet.
Yeah, so, we would request a continuance to the October 3rd date, just so we will have time to submit the revised plans.
Okay. All right, so we'll make a motion to continue till October 3rd. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
thank you. Anybody have any general comments, questions? Anything? Okay, make a motion to close, hearing?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me, yep, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Some cars away, I wonder where is the gambling man? Wonder why they gone? Where is the gambling man? I wonder where they gone.